3 runners, more than a podium's worth of them getting through to the B final underpins how strong of a day they've had. But as you say, it does mathematically stay open right through to the end in Class 3. The analogy I give for this, and this is not to take away from any other Class 3 drivers, but if you think of mid-noughties F1, when Minardi and Jordan would perhaps not very often have a point-scoring round, it stayed open between them over who was going to finish the highest of those two, because there could be some random...
Thiago Montero could have won a race.
Exactly.
Nearly did.
Nearly did. Got a podium.
Anyway.
But there we go. We're good for this C final then. Who is going to get these top 2 promotion spots? And beyond that, how well can each driver score? We are ready from the off. It's Toby Wykes who leads them away in the 86 as they head into Park Corner for the first time.
Jack Steele has dropped to 3rd place. A good start for Jake Wilkins in the black and white suit there, immediately up to P2. This is where everybody else has got to keep organised. They cannot afford to allow that top 2 to break away in the early stage of this one. Good start for Phil Holmes there in the blue suit and the black helmet. One of the C3s. Problem for Ben Pickard. Ben Pickard, there's a bit of rain down at the far end of the circuit. This is something that can happen here at Shenington. You can get a bit of a localised shower as round goes. There's that Danny Hale who's gone round in the Bruno chicane. I think there was a bit of encouragement from others out there. Thanasi Barnacote trying to force his way through as well there into 3rd. Have seen this happen before, Howard, that the weather comes from the Stratford hairpin and across the circuit. There were some slippery surface flags out warning the drivers ahead of this C final, but for your C3 points leader Ben Pickard, that is a big problem. That is him down in 23rd place. He's not going to be going through to the B final today.
Well, he'd already had arguably a bit of a challenging morning because he wasn't on the B final grid as some of his fellow Class 3 mates were, so he needed to have a good start as here battling away for 2nd place, and crucially the lower of those 2 promotion spots, Thanasi Barnacote trying to apply pressure to Jake Wilkins. But as you say, the drivers having to be a little bit more sheepish through the first part of the lap. I can't see, Andrew, any rain out to this part of the circuit at this stage. It's a very long circuit here, bear in mind, quite thin and long in shape, so it is entirely possible for the rain to be very gradually passing over the circuit. Good drive off of the Wilkins complex initially for Phil Holmes. Thought he might be able to challenge Barnacote into turn 1, but in the end wasn't able to get good drive. So here's the challenge for the drivers. Not only are the grip conditions deteriorating, but they're deteriorating at different rates at different parts of the circuit. Still Toby Wykes leading them through here, as you can clearly see adverse conditions down here at Stratford hairpin. But these drivers at the front of the field are those who have normalised to that quickly. Drivers who have had issues and dropped positions. Jack Steele has dropped quite a few positions. Ben Pickard we saw having issues. Thomas Holland, Danny Hale and Martin Joyce all look to me like drivers who have unfortunately misjudged the conditions or got involved in a bit of an incident as a result. For example, there is Martin Joyce being given an ABC takeout penalty and he finds himself towards the back of the field. So not one to remember so far for Joyce, as Phil Holmes coming under pressure from Jeremy Deeks there, and through goes Deeks and indeed Hayden Lowe, as well. Both the 56 and the 66 overhauling the 22 for 4th, 5th and 6th respectively. And now side by side for 2nd place is Wilkins and Barnacote. Barnacote has been challenging throughout. Now normally he'd be hard on the brakes here down the inside, and as it is, he goes 3 wide at the apex, and that's the race leader. Toby Wykes out and making contact with the tyres, and you can see the frustration because he can sense that he's lost out there on the not just the lead but the promotion spots. It's going to be a difficult job for him to climb back up. But what that was all of the drivers taking subtly different lines into the corner to try and find where the grip was. I was about to say that Barnacote would usually be hard on the brakes for a move, but was being more sheepish about it. Nonetheless, the other 2 ahead of him was slow enough, as there is a recovering Ben Pickard trying to go around the outside at Wilkins, and he's going to make that stick as well, actually. Nice move there. I think he was pulling on the likes of James Browning and Jack Hopkins, I think that was on. As there is a bump and pass penalty, 4 positions to be added to Jack Steele, whether he finishes that race. But that's a tough one for me. There was nothing that the 2 on the inside
There's nowhere they could have gone.
There's nowhere they could have gone with that one. So it's a challenging one. Yeah, apart from contact warnings, I'm not quite sure what can be attributed to that moment. Either way, Barnicoat leads, Wilkins in second, and Wykes is down to 7th place. But it's still very much a part of this pack at the front of the field.
And still a good amount of time on the clock to go. We've not even crossed through the stage of, or the point of time where we've got the length of a heat remaining in this one. 7 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Toby Wykes hasn't missed a B final for the last 7 rounds in a row. He had a C final appearance and a C final only appearance at the very first round of the year. Trying to keep that form up, but has got some work to do now. That's a nice move. That is Hayden Lowe down the inside of Jeremy Deeks for 3rd place. Trouble at this stage, though, is they're allowing Barnicoat and Wilkins to break free. They need to work together a little bit. Obviously a little bit trickier when you're in these greasy conditions. Lap times are starting to come back down, by the way. We were in the 56s and 57s. We're now back to the 54s, even the 53s if you're Danny Hale at the back of the field. So about a second and a half, I would say, off the dry running pace, even less than that. Now Barnicoat and Wilkins lead. They've got the top 2 repechage spots locked out by 1.6 seconds at the moment over Hayden Lowe. This is a big lap for Hayden Lowe to see if he can start to put Jake Wilkins under a little bit of pressure. Down into Stratford once more. It's still very misty down there at Stratford Hairpin. If it is raining, it's the very, very fine rain. We'll just sit on top of the racing surface. A lot of racing has, of course, taken place here at Shenington. Very active circuit in the owner karting scene. And this new track surface that was laid down, if my memory serving me correctly, last summer ahead of the 2023 Shenington Super Prix. It's a good quality surface here in Oxfordshire. 5.5 minutes remaining of this race. Now, what was the gap like between Wilkins and Lowe? Going in the right directions if you're Hayden Lowe. 53.9 last time around for the number 66. Jake Wilkins at 54.2.
Yes, indeed. The fastest lap of the race from Barry Lakes now. I agree, it still looks a bit inclement here at Stratford, at the Stratford corner, as that is a move from Barry Lakes, having set that fastest lap of the race past Phil Holmes. Takes himself up into the highest placed Class 3 driver in this race, albeit there are, I think it was 5 drivers who have made it up into the B grid in Class 3, so this is by no means a battle for even the Class 3 podium positions. Such is the strength of that subclass here today. That is Toby Wykes and Martin Goddard, I think it was, battling away there. Wykes struggling to buy back into this. Can we just reflect on Tompkinson Gray here for his first time
really
racing? He's
run.
up into 7th place. So he's having a great debut here. 7th place in the C final is not too shabby at all if you're just starting out racing in Club 100.
Ben Pickard having a good run as well. This is all about damage limitation now for Ben Pickard. Has used up 1 drop score already with missing round 1, which is fine. That's why the drop scores are there. At the moment, this would also be a drop score. This would be the 2nd drop for Ben Pickard, because whilst he's not always made it through to the B final this year, when he's missed out, he's been in the top 10, maybe the top 5 typically of these C finals, but is still pushing on. You never know how many points you could need. You never know whether a 10th place in the C final could be the difference between winning or losing a championship title this year. 3.5 minutes remaining in this one. Thanasi Barnicoat, relatively late entry to the round here, but good to see him back in order. This will be a good bit of track time for him as well. Meanwhile, fight for 2nd place. That was a bit of a problem for Jake Wilkins through Stratford. Big load of understeer. That's going to give an opportunity, you'd think, to Lowe, to Deeks, to Lakes, to all have a go here. This is pressure now for Jake Wilkins. Only his 4th appearance in sprints in 2024.
What it's done is create a momentum for Lakes and for Lowe to get by Lakes and Deeks to get by on Low, although they've all fought back again in the latter part then. But that was a brilliant exchange there for Barry Lakes. He's got great pace under him, has the fastest lap of the race, and he's up there and through into third place. So what started as us wondering if the likes of Jeremy Deeks or Hayden Lowe might be challenging Jake Wilkins ended up with a change for third place. And if anything, actually, it's given a few kart lengths of breathing space to Jake Wilkins for now. But as I say, Barry Lakes, well, until just now that Danny Hale overhauled him, had the fastest lap of the race. So what kind of inroads can Lakes now make into Wilkins's lead of second place?
Yeah, that's the trouble. It's a good, entertaining scrap, but I say they'd handed the advantage back to Wilkins, but Wilkins
pulled it back.
Has had a bit of a problem there coming through the Bruno chicane. You can't tighten up. It's one of the worst things, but easiest things you can do as a driver in Jake's position right now is feel that pack on your rear bumper, knowing that you are on the bubble from making it through to the next race, and you just start to grip the steering wheel a little bit too tightly.
And I think this is one of the worst circuits for it. Look at this pack in the middle, though. I think this is one of the worst circuits for it, Andrew, because there are bits where you need to flow through this. I don't want to sound all high and mighty, but you need to just flow and carry momentum through. And if you're doing staccato movements, that can really upset the kart, and it can ruin not just a corner, but a string of corners. And it just loses you, a hundredth here, a tenth there, and suddenly you're not able to stay ahead. I'm not 100% sure that that's what happened here for Wilkins, but what we can say is that Barry Lakes is now very much on the tail of the driver who would otherwise be promoted. There's 1 minute left on the clock. I don't think it'll be last lap. There's 2 more laps to go. So this is game on here, certainly for the second place and the last of those promotion spots up into the B final.
This would be a big step forward for Barry Lakes. Quite a few drivers at the front of this race who haven't been running a full season. This is Barry's first appearance since Glanny Gore. It's a lights a broadcast round, and he was P22 in the C final in North Wales. Bit of a slide there, and he knows it. He knows it. He just had a big slide through Stratford that's lost him a kart length. 20 seconds remaining on the clock. Barry Lakes' best hope here is that Thanasi Barnacote can get across the line before that timer ticks to 0. We've not seen the last lap board yet. Thanasi Barnacote comes out of the final corner. I think he's going to cross the line with about 2 seconds to go. So this one is going to go one more. That is not good news if you are Jake Wilkins. It is very good news if you're Barry Lakes. Barry Lakes is down the inside into Park side by side in slippery conditions, and Barry Lakes has got it done. Great move from Lakes onto the last lap. Takes second place, the last of those repechage spots. Hayden Lowe still there as well in the green suit and the yellow helmet. Jake Wilkins, what has he got to reply? He's going to have a little look down the inside into Stratford. No, needed to fully commit to that one. Has had one of these top 2 positions since the first couple of corners, but may well lose it on the last lap. Lakes trying to find the grip through the Bruno chicane. This is a cracking finish. Good run off the low. Bit of a move there from Barry Lakes. Jake Wilkins understandably not too happy with that one. Hayden Lowe hoping for some things in the last corner. Wilkins down the inside. They're both arm waving at one another now. Wilkins has gone through. Barnacote wins the C final. Who's going to take P2? It's Wilkins who goes through. Barry Lakes not happy about that. But third place, a big improvement from GYG. Hayden Lowe P4, Phil Holmes